Hi, my name is Desiree Knoll. I am an Edmonton, Alberta resident who has been through 11 years of traumatic experiences with child services, and I believe the world has to know the truth about their dirty tricks, the things they pull, and why. I want people out there to know that whites and natives are discriminated against, that we are now the visible minority, and it seems to be only us that ever have our children taken away, with the very few, 1 out of 1,000,000, that are of other races. In the last 11 years, starting with the birth of my daughter, Nevaeh Madison Michaud, who died sadly in 2014, when she was born, I had her in my care for all of 6 weeks, and because of a argument that took place outside the hospital between me and my husband at the time, she was taken into care. She was gone for 7 months. She returned to my care only to have workers continue to come in and out of our lives and close files. There was 1,000,000 closed files. They would come in, they would assess, they would close the file. They would come in, they would assess, they would close the file. And this went on twice a year, probably every year, until she was about 7, and when she was taken away again. Now, she was taken right directly out of her own bedroom in my own basement suite at the time, just because her father, Tony Michaud, refused to call the worker and tell him that he had dropped her off with me while he was hanging around with a gang and drug dealing, and in the process stole my new husband, John Knoll's car. Cart came in and took her out of her own room in the basement suite that I was renting. We jumped through 1,000,000 hoops with consistent files and consistent orders being completed, and the worker we were dealing with at the time, Adana, would have us complete one and then throw another one at us, and then she would complete one, and then she tried to throw a PGO at us, and I wouldn't sign it, so I went and got a lawyer, and pretty much just after getting a lawyer, they killed her. They gave her an overdose of chloral hydrate, 4 times the lethal dose for an adult. She died, sadly, January 5th, 2014. Now, here we are, barely 3 years later, because today is January 26th, 2016, and I am sitting here telling you that my little brother, age 11, who belongs to my mom, Billy Joe Armstrong, my nieces and nephews, Riley, Justice, Alessandra, and Alexander, and my own 2 children, Zachary and Destiny, have been taken into care. Why? Because they claim that we were neglecting them. Because they would come into the house and the house would be a little bit dirty. Well, sorry for being human, but most parents don't follow their children around with a mop and a broom. Most parents don't have time to follow their children around with a mop and a broom. Children do get dirty and they do make messes, and it is okay that you bathe your children before bed and clean the house before you go to bed. Last time I checked, that's completely normal. And this is apparently why they took them away. Now, since they've been taken away, there was no concurrent plan set up ahead of time, meaning visits, phone calls, etc. We waited 2 weeks before we saw our children for the first time. Never even heard from them on the phone. We were supposed to get visits within 48 hours, but we didn't. We had a worker, Angus Mackay, at the time, or about 3 months prior to this apprehension, that was in our life on a robust intake, and he did not find it necessary to go past a robust intake, and this was exactly 3 to 4 months prior to this apprehension, same year. He closed down the robust intake in February, and it was a call that I had made to him myself, feeling like I needed a little bit of help. He came into my life and still did not go past a robust intake. Okay, then 4 months later, they come into our lives. They came every day, unnotified, Okay? They did not tell us why they were there. They refused to tell us anything. They would just show up, boss us around, and leave. They never put us under a robust intake or a family enhancement order, supervision order, nothing. They just kept showing up. So finally I got fed up and I exercised a constitutional right. I said very plainly to them, I said, look, unless you guys are going to tell us why you're here and put us under some sort of an order, I want you off my property and I don't want you to return until you're willing to tell me what is going on and why you are here and to call my lawyer. Now, after exercising my constitutional right, 4 days later, the children were apprehended. Since apprehension, my nephew Justice has been recorded to be abused. He was punched in the back by the first placement they put him in, as well as threatened by the children that lived in there with an axe, a butterfly knife, and a blade. Then he got transferred to where his sister was with this woman named Nana and has had very good care from this woman since, so I will give them that. My children, Zachary and Destiny, are always showing up to visits with rashes, bumps, bruises, scrapes, and they keep telling me it's things like they fell. And yet I was blamed for being neglective because Destiny had a rash at the time that they apprehended her. But Destiny has a skin condition that's called eczema. And sometimes it just happens because she has so much fluid and she had a little bit of a roll in her neck. There was so much fluid coming out of her because she was teething. The fluid would run into her neck and sometimes it would turn into a fungal infection. And as her father and I can both testify, this has happened before, and the fungal infection was easy to treat. It just sometimes took a few days. But instead of listening to me and hearing that, they didn't even take her cream when they apprehended her. They wouldn't even take pants or diapers for them. They took them t-shirts and left. Pretty much wouldn't even dress them. Okay, prior to that, they broke me and my husband up on purpose, forced me to put an EPO against him. And then they tried to tell him that they had nothing to do with it. Then they told his children that they would never see their father again.
Never told me.
Never told you, or never told my husband about it. He had to phone them to find out that his children were in care. He was never notified. And they're claiming it was because of the EPO, which is BS again. We didn't see our children for 2 weeks. We didn't hear from our children for 2 weeks. And there was no concurrent plan set up prior to apprehension. I am here to tell you, world, that this may happen to you. All you have to do is make one tiny little mistake. Just have a playpen full of some crumbs, and that's all it takes for them to think that you're neglecting the child and walk them out of your life. Now, they took my little brother and they placed him with his father, who is a complete and total psycho, Mark Keith, aka Adam Blinch. Him and Karis are domestically abusive to each other on a daily basis, and she had a black eye. The worker came out to the home, pulled Michael outside and talked to him, but did not go inside the home to check the black eye that Karis had at the time. They don't listen to a word we say. They basically figure that we should just blow it out our ears because it would probably be better to talk to a brick wall than to talk to these people. None of them are listening. We did put a lawyer in place. However, things did not go the way I was hoping for. The fight we tried to put up was basically, I'm not going to say lost, but not won either. It's still in due process, for a lack of a better way to say it. But Canada, United States, anybody who sees this today, I want you to know this could happen to you. They don't care about whites or natives. They don't care about the death of children or the safety or any of the sort. They abuse children. They kick children around. They punch them around. They threaten them with weapons. They let the other kids in the home have weapons to threaten the other kids. They don't set up concurrent plans prior to apprehension. They make you wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and never know anything about where your children are or who they're with or what's going to happen to them in the period of time before you see them. Then, when you do get to see your children for the first time, it's always supervised. You have to beg them to be able to take your children to the park. Most workers treat you like scum, depending on what kind of money you make. Even people that make good money get treated like scum. When you reach out for help to them, they use it against you. They will tell you things like, oh, well, keeping me updated on things that are going on in the home, instead of helping you, we're going to use it against you. This world is a disgusting place when it comes to child services and anybody connected to child services, including foster moms, foster homes, group homes, and such. Children have committed suicide at older and younger ages because of child services. The trauma that children suffer turns into PTSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a very serious disorder, and that disorder can happen in as young as a 1-year-old. My children are starting to show signs of post-traumatic stress disorder, and they're of the ages of 1 and 3. My little brother has had post-traumatic stress disorder since the day his niece passed away. My niece, Riley, has had post-traumatic stress disorder since the day that her cousin passed away. My nephew is starting to show signs of post-traumatic stress disorder. And my other nephew and niece, being of the ages of 3 and 1 as well, are slowly starting to pop out the signs of post-traumatic stress disorder. Do these people care? No. Will they ever care? No. I want the world to know today, here and now, that these are just minor things that I know these people are capable of. They are dirty. They are disgusting. They are sick. Half of them don't even have children. Where do they get off coming into your life and telling you how to raise children? People that have children out there, I want you to think about something for a second. What if it were you? What if they walked into your life and took your children away for no reason? What would you say? What would you do? Would you want to put up a fight or would you give in? Because I'm telling you now, do not give in to any of them. Not at all. Do not agree to anything. Do not sign anything. Do not let them push you into anything. And certainly do not have the fear to tell them, no, I will not agree. No, I will not do that. Because you have rights. Get a lawyer right away. The very second that you can. If you can, have one on the phone when they're apprehending your children so that they can hear what goes on. Never let them come into your life and push you around. Never let them take control, because they should not have the control and power that they do. I believe 100% strongly that there are more people in the world that should speak up, that should sue for the trauma their children have been through, or for possibly losing a child because of past times, etc., etc. Any child that has been in the system, any child that has died because of the system, passed away in the care of the system, needs to stand up. They need to speak out. And I say to all of you, you don't have to be afraid, because there are millions of us. There are millions of us. There really are. You'd be surprised on how many people you would have behind you. Me being one of them. I'm with a group on Facebook called Protecting Canadian Children. And we are hundreds of members, hundreds of thousands of members and counting. The spokesperson to our foundation is Velvet Martin, a very special woman who was able to invoke a law called Samantha's Law. They still don't follow that law. Judges listen to every word these people say as if it is gold. Fight. Don't let them do it. Don't let them push you. Don't let them take your children. And most certainly, be very careful. Because the next time, it could be you. And you don't want it to be. Trust me. It's the most painful experience anybody would ever have to go through. And what's worse is when you end up having to go through an experience as to what I'm about to show you. My oldest died after a lethal dose of chloral hydrate, and this is how I finally got to bring my little girl home in 2014. In a box. Nevaeh Madison Michaud. I put her story all over the news. I put it all over the paper. It was a media circus for the first month after she had died, and I didn't care. I am the woman that fought for the right for us parents to be able to speak about our children and our situations on the news. And now I am here to tell all of you that there is more to come. And if you people just stand up and get ready to speak out, whether it's been 5 months, 2 years, or 20 years since it happened to you, speak out. Speak up. It takes one voice to make a change, but 1 million can change the world. Please, please take me seriously. I'm signing off. This is Desiree Knoll from Edmonton, Alberta, with one more thing to say. God be with you. I hope you hear me out, and I hope you guys speak out.